Hey, Forrest here. Nothing like getting paid. And with ICCU's mobile app, I can deposit checks or accept Zelle payments so the money hits my account fast. I just wish there was an app for mowing the rest of these lawns.
Right now, Lithia Ford of Boise is buying used vehicles. How much you want for the SUV?
I don't know.
Well, Lithia Ford will give you more than that.
How much more?
More than you think.
I'm not thinking anything.
I'm thinking you might get even more than that. See how much more you can get at Lithia Ford of Boise.
When it comes to concrete, we've got you covered. RowPaint.com offers custom concrete coating services for your garage, business, warehouse, and more. And we do it in one day. We are your complete concrete coatings solution.
This is Bronco Nation News Live. The best interviews, the most informed opinions, the latest breaking news, all from the top Boise State insiders. Joining BJ Rains today is KTVB Sports Director Jay Tust. Check him out on Twitter at KTVB Sports Guy and make sure to check out KTVB.com. Now, here's Jay Tust and BJ Rains with another edition of Bronco Nation News Live.
Hey, how we doing, Boise State fans? Happy Tuesday to you. Tuesdays with Tust here at Bronco Nation News Live, BroncoNationNews.com. KTVB Sports Director Jay Tust, as I said, is here. We got some basketball talk. We got some football talk. We talked to some of the new coaches yesterday. Actually, a lot going on for a snowy day. I will say this, though, Jay. I'm fresh off my kid's bus being about 20 minutes late due to the snow. You're going to have fun with that in a couple years. And, thought it would be a quick one. Didn't bring a jacket, and our bus stop is like 3 blocks away. So that was my first mistake. But I'm going on about 20 minutes in frigid conditions with no jacket. But I'm back, and my hands are starting to warm up a little bit, and I'm ready to go.
The joys of parenthood.
Yes. And having a bus stop that's 3.5 blocks from your house. So we drive to the bus stop, which sounds odd that it's 3 blocks away, and we drive sometimes when it's cold. And then what actually happened was we thought the bus was coming. We got out of the car, walked to the stop, a little bit further up the street, and it was a different bus. So then we were already outside, and we just, it'll be here soon. We just stood there, and then 15 minutes later, it still hadn't shown up yet. But they're on their way, probably getting there late to school today, but they got their Valentine's boxes ready to go. They got all their Valentines that they wrote out for each kid's name for their Valentine's Day parties. So we're rocking and rolling in the Rains house today.
Sounds awesome, man. Yeah. Collins went to a little Valentine's Day party yesterday. I didn't do anything for it. So.
Yeah, my wife is going to be stopping by the kindergarten party today, I think, to help out. I'm not involved in that, but happy Valentine's Day to Camille and Collins and the Tust family and everybody else out there as well. Hopefully folks are finding some time to do the right thing. I went with the oversized card this year, Jay. I think that if you go for the regular size card, that's one thing. But if you spend the extra couple dollars and you get the 5 times as big card, that just means you love them more. So
I think so.
I went with the bigger card, and I had more room for the boys to write on the card as well. And I think I surprised my wife. I don't think I think she probably either thought I would forget or just not do anything. But she woke up, and she wakes up before me sometimes because she has to work pretty early. And I had it, when I went to bed last night, I had the flowers, the candy, the card all sitting on the kitchen table. So when she woke up, I think she was a little surprised. But
that's important. You got to do what you can, right? They usually dominate.
Dinner tonight or anything with your lovely wife?
Yeah, we used to like basically homemade pizza back when we first started dating, and so we're gonna do a little homemade pizza action.
There we go. How about that? And this is the if we were giving away text of the day or comment of the day, which we maybe should start doing. Jordan Morales wins it. Roses are red, violets are blue. The best way to start your day is BNN with each of you. So appreciate that, Jordan. Right back at you, man. But happy Valentine's Day to everybody out there, and hope you're be able to spend time with loved ones and have a great day. As Kurt Blake reminds us, though, we are 200 days from the Washington game. How about that?
Hilarious.
Did you know that? Yeah, I figured you have the countdown going already.
I don't, man. I mean, I know we can joke. That's awesome. 200 days. Wow, it's going to go by so fast. But I kind of I kind of like locking into basketball mode this time of year. It's like once we get mid-February through mid-March, at least for us locally, it's kind of fun to just kind of lock into basketball mode.
I think you are doing a disservice to Bronco Nation out there that you did not prepare a 200-day countdown on Twitter with some sort of fact and some sort of stat for 200 days getting ready for the Washington game. I figured you would have been all over that.
I should have been. Dang it.
Please no. The 25-day or the 24-hour ones sometimes are already enough. We don't need the
right. I was just talking to somebody yesterday about how Michael Penix Jr. finally broke our local hero Cody Pickett's single season passing record last year. So Penix is obviously going to be back for the Huskies next year. Should be a good game.
Well, we're already talking football, so maybe we just start with football today. We do have some basketball talk. We're obviously going to preview tomorrow's game and get to that. I did not see, by the way, I didn't see the Broncos show up on Bad Beats last night. It wasn't on.
Should they have?
Bad Beats was on. I guess
technically,
that was a horrible beat. They only covered the 12.5 when you had the technical fouls there or that changed all those free throws, and they were up 24 points with like 3:01 to go, and you only win by 12 and don't cover 12.5 point spread. Me and Johnny were saying yesterday we thought it would be on Bad Beats last night, but I didn't see it. So
you might have just overlooked that one, But you're right. And depending on like when you caught the spread, I think it opened at 14, but it closed at 12.5. Which also would suggest a lot of people had money on the under.
Yep.
Just saying.
That hit too, I think, by 1 point or something with the over-under.
Excuse me, had a lot of people on Wyoming to cover. Excuse me, that's what I meant. The over-under, that also, the technicals and stuff definitely helped push that on the over. I think, because that game went over, BJ, right?
By 1 point at the end with 10 seconds left on the bucket, yeah.
That's interesting. Very coincidental.
Don't I know this, Devo Bronk? XFL starts this weekend. Me and Jay and John Mallory are actually all going to Seattle week 3, Thursday night primetime football. The Seattle Dragons and the St. Louis Battlehawks. Thursday primetime, Thursday night football, baby.
I hope it works this time. Mostly just not for the sake of the league, but for the sake of the guys that continue to get caught in this wave of emotion that we have a professional league to play in. And then usually by week 3, there's something.
I don't think that's the Rock's MO. That's not the Rock's MO. This thing's going to.
I agree. He's had a lot of success as a businessman. So I'm going to guess that he's going to be in a much better spot. But it was just really funny how last time the AFL came back, it was supposed to be, this great opportunity. And 2 weeks in, they're like, oh, we can't pay our guys. Can't pay all of our players. That was wild. And then it eventually just went away.
Well,
hopefully The Rock is the guy that can be the linchpin in this whole thing and actually make it work and provide us some type of entertainment, as we end the NFL season. But like I said, man, like I'll pay attention to it. But for me, I really like to spend the next month and a half just kind of focusing on basketball. It's a fun energy. It's fun, springtime. I will dabble in a little bit of spring training, obviously, but this is such a fun time of year to focus kind of on that, in my opinion.
Yeah, I do it mostly as like a satire kind of thing, in terms of the Battlehawks. It's mostly a just kind of poking fun on Twitter and stuff, But I do have a hat and a shirt, and I am genuinely just to represent my hometown. Looking forward to it. Now I get it. You lose the NFL. You whatever. And the first time it was kind of to stick it to their owner because we were in a lawsuit with them. And, we were about to sell out the Dome when we played the LA team, for an XFL game. We are going to have, 50,000+ people there. It is what it is. It's cool. We don't have an NFL team, whatever. I was rooting for the Chiefs, happy they won the Super Bowl, but like I'll watch the games. It's my hometown team. I'm not a big MLS soccer fan either, but you know what? We got a team now too that starts here in a month or a couple. I'll try to get into the MLS too. So, I mean, it is what it is. And, but I hope folks do know that I'm mostly joking around when I'm like going crazy about the Battlehawks, but no, I think it's something fun. We don't have NFL football. It's what we got. And it'll help us get through the spring a little bit, like you said. And we'll see, but there are 2 former Boise State players, both on the Arlington Renegades, Sean Modster, Jake Stetz. So good luck to both of them. Somehow the schedule makers in a 10-game schedule, we got 3 straight road games to start the year for the Battlehawks. So the adversity is high, but we're going to that backloaded home schedule here. If we can get off to a nice start, we're going to get it going. But speaking of football, Jay, and again, we will preview basketball here and talk about the game tomorrow in a few minutes. But 3 football coaches, the new coaches, met with the media yesterday, and we'll talk about that in just a second. I do want to remind folks that you're watching us here from the Cutwater Spirits mobile studios. We're in Meridian here. Jay's at his house as well, but Cutwater Spirits, more than 30 flavors of pre-mixed premium cocktails. Make sure you pick one up at your local gas station or grocery store. My flavor of the week, let's go with the lime margarita or the strawberry margarita. Any of the margaritas are great choices at Cutwater. Rowpaint.com, still offering that 15% off. That's right, 15% off the interior painting of your home at rowpaint.com. You can just go on there and check it out and use the promo code BNN15 and get 15% off on the interior painting of your home. Lithia Ford of Boise, that Rains family F-150 was driving good today in the snow. So make sure you get out to Lithia Ford, check out their full inventory of vehicles. You can check it out online as well, lithiafordboise.com. But for some reason, if you don't want to buy from them, they will still take your trade. You can go in there and in 3 easy steps, they'll make you a cash offer on the spot if you take in your used vehicle at Lithia Ford of Boise, even if you don't buy from them. Idaho Central Credit Union, the official bank of Bronco Nation News and the Rains family. Make sure you check them out. Idaho Central Credit Union, ICCU.com. Their mobile e-branch online banking is so easy to use. You'll wonder why you didn't make the switch earlier once you switch at ICCU.com. Jay, we talked to 3 football coaches yesterday. I want to start with the one that's the returner, I guess, and Jabril Frazier. We're going to hear a short clip from each of the 3 coaches here and kind of talk about them. But Jabril Frazier, man, very impressive young man. I thought he said all the right things yesterday. And this is a dude that, picked Boise State over USC. I mean, he was got the gray shirt, I believe, at USC, but he had an offer to USC coming out of the area there in the, Southern California, and comes to Boise State, but doesn't qualify academically, ends up having to, gray shirt his first year here, goes to school here to work on his grades, and then had like a hell of a class schedule to try to get eligible. Could only use the weight room when none of his players were in there. So he'd have to go at like 5 a.m. or when his team was out practicing, he'd be in the weight room. Couldn't really be around the guys, couldn't go to practice, couldn't go to the games. Only could kind of see some of them in the locker room. But the dude was basically by himself in a new state, knew whatever, and grinded and got it done. Battled some injuries. Just had a very, a lot of adversity in his career and in his life to this point. And 3 years as a GA, not easy, not much money. I've never heard of that. Most guys go 1 or 2 and either get out of the profession or move on. But he hung on for the 3rd year as a GA, and it pays off for him, man. He's now making 6 figures as a full-time edge coach. And everybody you talk to, Spencer and Andy, they say this guy's a rock star on the rise, as a coach or whatever. He's going to be a big-time coach down the line. And from what we heard yesterday, it wouldn't surprise me, man. It's cool to see. He's an easy guy to root for.
I agree. It also makes me realize how old I am and how long I've been covering this team, because I remember signing day when we were all wondering what was up with Jabril Frazier and if he was going to sign and what it meant when he did sign. And it was the answer. I mean, you just kind of went through it right there. It wasn't really an easy answer. And he eventually did what he needed to do to get eligible. And one thing to add too, how silly are those NCAA rules that he had to do all that, kind of by himself? Like, you're trying to focus on the well-being of a student athlete. He should have been able to be a part of normal team activities, I think, but that's a separate argument for another day, probably.
Yeah.
But he's such a cool guy, and he really is. I have no other way to describe it. One thing that really I thought was impressive yesterday, BJ, like, I remember like the first interviews that we had with Jabril, who has always been an extremely likable guy, but his first interviews weren't like the one that he did yesterday, where he gave kind of passionate, long-winded answers. He spoke with conviction. I mean, there are kind of the typical standard questions you ask in these situations, like, are you truly ready for it? But I think you go back and you look at his interview yesterday and you understand that he is ready for it. And one thing he pointed out too is that he has a wealth of help around him. Not only Andy Avalos, who was a great defensive mind and once coached, edge rushers and all that, but you have Spencer Danielson, and it goes beyond his defensive background. Spencer was the only one that I can remember that, like Jabril, got promoted from a GA position to a pretty well paid full-time job on staff. I mean, usually you probably do have to go somewhere else and then bounce back to Boise State. But due to his incredible trajectory, I don't want to say he skipped a step because he was a GA for 3 years and showed a lot of loyalty to his alma mater, but he definitely took an expedited path to a full-time job that is pretty well compensated at a really successful school.
Yeah, let's hear a little bit from Jabril Frazier on taking over as the edge coach at Boise State.
It's a blessing, man. I tell people, I said, for how much Boise have done for me, for coming here as a player, going through the things I went through as a player, it really turned me into the person I am today, and I give all back to this place, man. This city, I love this place.
What was it like when Avalos called you into his office and said, "Hey, basically, we're going in your direction. You got the gig"? What was that? Take me through the emotions there.
Yeah, it was so many emotions. You talk about that. Once I got in this career, it was because of those two guys, Coach Spencer Danielson and Coach Andy Avalos. They're the reason why I wanted to become a coach. The impact they made on me as a player, the way they changed my life, and I mean, for me to get that call and to know that that's what I can do for the guys that are in the program right here. We talk about it every single day. How can you make your impact? And for me, it was to be a coach. And when he gave me that call and told me that, I'm now the edge coach, I almost cried, teared up because, I've been through a lot. This place has done a lot for me, and to give back to this place, to give back to this city, you probably hear me say that a lot. I tell people that a lot in recruiting, man, is this place has done a lot for me, and so I owe it all back to this place.
Talk about doing a lot for him, and you think about the days where you were not gray shirting, I don't even know what they call it.
Yeah, it was gray shirting.
Yeah, where I mean, you had to use the weight room when no one else could use it, right? I mean, just take us back to that and just how far you've come.
Yeah, I came here, as a young man from Los Angeles, California, and I came here on a gray shirt, and people might not know what that is now, but it was, back then we had a sliding scale, and you had to have a certain GPA and certain SAT score, and I didn't meet the requirements, but they still gave me the opportunity to come here. I set out a whole year. It was nothing but football in school, and not even football, but it was just weightlifting in school, and it made me really realize why I played college football, and that if football gets taken away from you, what's next? And it really made me mature, and I think that's one of the reasons I look back. I really matured a lot in that time, and throughout my career, I've always had ups and downs with injuries and things like that, but I've always noticed that hard work works, and that's the definition of my life. Hard work's work. From school to football to now, being a full-time coach. Is always my definition is hard work.
Well, there he is, Jabril Frazier, and that full interview is up on the Bronco Nation News YouTube channel. I'm sure it's up on KTVB as well. You can check that out and read and listen to more about the 10-minute interview with Jabril Frazier. Very impressive young man, and he's got a position where he's got to try to find some, figure out some ways that get some more production from that group, because they lose some guys and got some guys coming back, but that's obviously going to be a key position. They hit that position hard in the transfer portal, so we'll see. The other position along that D line, Jay, we talked to Eric Chenander, coming from Oregon, from UCF, and then most recently at Nebraska. What'd you make of talking to Eric?
Another guy that they get a lot of experience with on staff, so they hire or promote a younger guy like Jabril, who I think he said Jabril's only 26 years old. I mean, he's a pretty young guy. One of the things real quick about Jabril that I liked, there was a saying like hard work goes on.
Uh-oh. Jay froze up on us there. We'll see if we can get Jay back. We'll get back to Jay in just a second. Let's go ahead and play Eric Chenander, the new defensive line coach, and we'll get Jay back here. There he is. There you go, Jay.
Sorry, my bad. I don't know what's going on.
That's all right.
What I was going to say, though, with Jabril, like there's that saying that's kind of been around Boise State, like hard work doesn't go unnoticed, but the fact of the matter is it does at times. But what he said, hard work works, right? Like there's not really an end to it. So I don't know. I think he's a pretty sharp dude, and I'm excited for him. As far as Eric Chenander goes, like I said, now you complement a younger hire with a guy that does have quite a bit of experience on his resume, coming down from a Power 5 school. And they're going to need to lean on his experience, BJ, because as we know, that's a room that they need to rebuild. They lost a lot of talent up front. Chenander kind of mentioned yesterday that Herbert Gums isn't available right now as he kind of gets back from an injury. So it's going to be interesting to see what it really looks like out there day one of spring ball, like who is available to him on the defensive line in order to get better and improve this unit overall.
Well, we'll let you listen to Eric Chenander, but first I want to tell you about Ridley's Family Markets, shopridleys.com, 13 Idaho locations. Go download that Ridley's app and you get exclusive savings. You can find a location near you at shopridleys.com. The Blue and Orange Store, if you need some Boise State gear, you got the Sunday game coming up against UNLV. The blueandorangestore.com, free shipping, any order over $40, or you can get the stuff in person right there at the Blue and Orange Store at the Boise Town Square Mall, second floor next to Pro Image. And speaking of basketball, Matt Bauscher, Bauscher Real Estate, BauscherRealEstate.com. The number one ranked realtor in the Treasure Valley yet again is Matt Bauscher. Let his team take care of you. No home is too big or too small. Check them out at BauscherRealEstate.com. Let's hear from Eric Chenander on taking over at Boise State.
You know, I've been to Boise. It's been about 10 years ago, just recruiting a couple guys. Every person I've ever talked to about living just in the valley has said nothing but unbelievable things about, you know, the opportunity to have a great experience here for my wife, my kids, my family, and then also my familiarity with Coach Avalos. Known him for a long time. I think our football pedigree lines up pretty well. Our beliefs in defense lines up pretty well, and then obviously the culture and the track record for Boise, you know, speaks for itself.
How'd you first meet Coach Avalos?
I think that, you know, he was coaching, I believe, linebackers here. I was coaching either D-line or linebackers at Oregon, and we kind of got together and talked football a few different times. You know, Mark Helfrich was on our staff and had a lot of similar relationships, and then we spent some time on the road recruiting with each other as the years went through.
To leave a defensive coordinator position, and then, I mean, what was the hunt like for a job? And, you know, did you want to get back into being a coordinator, or were you just kind of looking for the best opportunity for yourself?
Yeah, I think the best opportunity, you know, a couple coordinator opportunities presented themselves, and I didn't feel like those were a great fit for either myself or maybe just where those programs may have been at the time. I wanted to be around really good people. I wanted to be around a great program, and just a chance to, you know, have a little bit of a fresh start maybe. It's going to be really cool, you know, as you're a coordinator. There's a lot of great things involved in it, a lot of different responsibilities, but to get in the room with the defensive line again and really establish those relationships and be in that position again is kind of exciting for me as well.
Is there anything refreshing?
There he is, Eric Chenander. And again, the full interview is up on the Bronco Nation News YouTube channel. You can go watch that. But brings a lot of experience, and looking forward to seeing what he can do with that D line there. The third coach, Jay, that I want to touch on real quick, Jimmy Montgomery, so you can call him whatever you want. Takes over as the running backs coach. Was at Fresno State last year. Was at Sac State before that. Another grinder, has had to work his way up in this business. Said he was working at Enterprise Rent-A-Car and doing some other odds and ends, just trying to get into the business. Ends up GA, and I believe goes to Sac State, and then he ends up working his way up, and now he's the running backs coach at Boise State. Another newcomer to the group.
Yeah, James is a good dude, man. He's from my alma mater, played at Washington State, started his career at Cal. You go back even further. He originally committed to play at the University of Washington, and then ended up switching and verbally committing to California to be closer to home. But then after, you know, a little while there, he decided that he kind of wanted to get away from home. And so he transferred to Washington State and just wanted to be a part of a college town. And if you've ever been to Pullman, it's pretty much a college town. And he had some adversity, battled through there, had an injury that, you know, nearly ended his playing career, came back from that. And he's a guy that's another, I would say, a young guy on the rise. And when his name, you know, was brought up to be hired for this position, BJ, kind of surprised me because it was a little out of nowhere, I feel like. And they were able to get him from Fresno State, bring him to Boise State. And as he said yesterday, like, you walk into the building and you can feel like it's just a little different. Like you feel the tradition, you feel the passion, the energy, all that stuff. And so that obviously won over his heart. And now he is the new head man in the stable.
And here is the new head man in the stable. Got a pretty good group of running backs to deal with. Here he is, James Montgomery.
It was just kind of fast, but this coaching circle is pretty small. So I spent 6 years at Sac State, and Coach Av spent, you know, one of his first years in the profession at Sac State, and so we kind of just talked about that. And then obviously working with Kirby Moore last year, I had some familiarity with these guys.
So why switch from Fresno to Boise State?
Just growing up on the West Coast, this Bleed Blue brand is kind of national and a flagship program of the West Coast. So that was really intriguing to me.
What Kirby say that stood out about Boise State?
Well, it's just more kind of how Kirby operated coming from here, and now that I've been in the building a couple of days, I can see why he operates how he does. But he just said it's an awesome place to raise a family, and it's a great program, obviously.
Biggest shock of the day was John Mallory asking about a Kirby Moore related question, by the way. The full interview is up on the YouTube channel. I want to make sure we have a couple minutes to talk basketball, so I cut him off a little bit early. But Bronco Nation News YouTube channel, you can watch the full interviews. I'm sure you guys got it at KTVB as well. All three coaches all spoke for over 10 minutes yesterday, and those full interviews are up on the YouTube channel. But basketball, in the final 5 minutes here, Jay, basketball's got a sneaky tough game tomorrow at Wyoming, and it's going to be a very intriguing game. Isaiah Stevens and company, and we'll wait and hear some sound from Leon Rice and company on tomorrow's show. But what do you make? And actually, I'm going to keep the pause just that much longer. I got 2 more sponsors to tell you about. BoiseDentistryCo.com. Check them out. Looking for a new job? How about Boise Dentistry Co.? Or excuse me, a new dentist. Boise Dentistry Co. can help you out. My family loves Dr. Miner and his staff. They do a tremendous job, full family dentistry. So make sure you check them out. Find a location near you at BoiseDentistryCo.com. And if you are looking for a job, how about the trucking industry? Transportation Compliance Service can help you out every step of the way if you're looking to get into the trucking industry. And whether it's the big rig on your screen, the Amazon truck in your neighborhood, all the permits and things you need to get out there towing that first load in no time. Let the professionals handle it at Transportation Compliance Service. And if you're a business owner, which I know a lot of you guys are that watch the show, help out another supporter and lower your business insurance rate at the same time. United Commercial Insurance can write business policy insurance in 44 states around the country. That's right. And 229-8222, UnitedCommercialInsurance.com. Quick call, quick visit their website could save you hundreds of dollars on your next business insurance plan. Check them out at United Commercial Insurance. As I said, Jay, Boise State basketball departing this afternoon. I will be en route early tomorrow morning. Moby Arena in Fort Collins. Boise State quad 2 game. So, I mean, this would be a quality win on the computers now, a quad 2 game, which I guess helps a little bit because if you lose and it's a quad 2 game, it's not the end of the world. But, this is one of those games, at least to me, that if you want to, do things this year and compete for a Mountain West title and get a decent seed in the NCAA tournament, not be sitting there on the bubble. I mean, that's a game tomorrow. Even though Ken Palm says it's a 4-point game, I mean, that's a game you got to win tomorrow.
It is. And this is why, when we talked last week about the return of Marcus Shaver Jr., you wondered, do you try to get by Wyoming without him? They didn't. He played. He looked really, really good. But you kind of figured, they actually need him for a game like this because you're facing one of the more dynamic players, not just guards, but one of the more dynamic players in the Mountain West Conference, and Isaiah Stevens. And, the value of Marcus Shaver Jr., it's hard to accurately assess it when you look at his stats. His stats are good, but he even goes beyond what numbers you see out there for him. Boise State lost by 20 at San Diego State, BJ. Is Marcus Shaver Jr. worth 20 points in that game? Honestly, I don't know, but I will say this. That was against the first place team in the conference. Against the last place team in the conference, in the 30 minutes Marcus Shaver Jr. was on the floor, they were plus 26. That means they were minus 13 when he was on the bench. So, I mean, that's a pretty big point swing right there, and it shows you how much he means to this men's basketball team over at Boise State. And if he's healthy and the rest of those 4 guys in the starting lineup are healthy, I really like their chances to, at the very least, compete against anyone in this league. And it obviously continues tomorrow in Fort Collins against Colorado State. And you bring up the quads real quick, BJ, it's a tough slate from here on out, man. It doesn't get any easier for Boise State, and I think it's two quad ones to wrap up the season with versus San Diego State and at Utah State, and then in between that they have 3 quad 2s and a quad 3, and the quad 3 is UNLV at Extra Mile Arena, and that's almost a quad 2 game, and so a very tough slate for the Boise State men's basketball team going into what will soon be, in just a few weeks, must wins, because if you don't win, it could mean your season ending.
And you mentioned tough slate for Boise State. You know, Nevada does not have a tough slate left. Their last, what I would call losable game, is Saturday. They're at Utah State. So Boise State fans should be rooting for Utah State on Saturday, because otherwise, I think Nevada has a chance to run the table. They've got San Jose State at home, and then they go to Fresno, to Wyoming, and then finish up at home against UNLV. I think where those, you know, with the home road there and who they're playing, I think they win those last 4. So my point is Utah State is tied with Boise State in the loss column right now for first place in the conference. So if you're looking at those standings, you need to bump Nevada down a game. You need them to lose on Saturday. And then, you know, for Boise State, you take care of this next set of games. I mean, wouldn't it be something if Boise State can win the next 4 games here, Jay, and be 13-3 in the conference, 23-6, and 1 game or tied with San Diego State, you know, first place on the line on senior night. I mean, I saw how special it was in Viejas a couple weeks ago. I think Extra Mile Arena could be just as special if first place is on the line again.
Yeah, senior night, Extra Mile Arena, San Diego State in town. I mean, usually San Diego State draws really, really well here in Boise, but when you add all of those factors into one single night, one of the bigger games in recent history at Extra Mile Arena, that if it plays out that way.
Yeah, that's kind of the thought process of bringing it up is, I mean, you've got to, you know, and I'll say this too. I mean, you could win it outright potentially. I mean, San Diego State still has to go to New Mexico right before they come to Boise. So if they lose that, and all of a sudden you're tied with them, and you drop them a game down if you beat them at home, you know, and then you go to Logan maybe, which I know a bunch of our crew, they've been talking about it in the chat here. There's about 30, you know, BSU fans that are heading down to Logan in like a carpool for that game. It's going to be a cool trip. But again, for that to happen, the point is you got to take care of business in games like tomorrow. And it's a quad 2 game. I get it. It's a road game. Stevens is pretty, you know, is good. Like I said, Ken Pom thinks it's going to be close, 4-point game, but I think you're kind of done with the style points at this point. Just find a way to win the game and move on.
Yeah. I think we're to that point in the season. It's close enough now where you just need to kind of avoid bad losses and just win games, because Boise State's body of work speaks for itself. If they just continue to win, even if it is by close margins, it's not like they're going to drop drastically in any rankings. And so it is definitely to the point in the season where just win and move on to the next game and do the same thing there, and give yourself a chance at maybe a regular season title and a good seating at the Mountain West Conference Tournament. BJ, they still reward co-champs in this league, right? Like they don't necessarily have a tiebreaker for
tiebreaker for the seeding, but they would consider them co-champs. Yes.
Yeah. And so, you know, that's where it gets a little interesting. If Boise State can win, you know, beat San Diego State, then you get potentially a 3-way tie with them in Nevada. And then it gets really interesting. If it is Boise State and Nevada at the end, you know, that's another reason why I went over San Diego State for Boise State is big, because Nevada already has that win, which would give them a seeding tiebreaker over Boise State. So we're getting down to we're splitting hairs. And we're trying to predict the future, and maybe it doesn't even matter. But
that's why it's fun, man.
This is why it is fun, and the Broncos need to go take care of business and get this done. And maybe coming up on Friday, you know, he gave us an answer yesterday to the question, but I think we're getting to a point in time where you probably have to start campaigning for some of your premier players to get some postseason accolades. And, you know, asked Leon about Tyson Degenhart and where he stands in the Mountain West Conference Player of the Year race, and at the very least a first teamer. And maybe we can dive into that a little bit more on Friday when I rejoin you again, because his numbers speak for themselves. And while, you know, he doesn't attempt 20 shots a game like some guys that are averaging 20 points a game, his efficiency and value is tremendous, and it shouldn't be overlooked.
Hey, don't forget, June 2nd, save the date. We're a couple of weeks away from putting on ticket sales and things like that. This thing sold out last year, so you're not going to want to wait around. June 2nd, second annual Bronco Nation News Golf Tournament. Hoping to have Jay out there again. KTIK will be out there broadcasting. I'm getting some confirmations from some local celebrities, some coaches, even some players potentially wanting to play as well. That's how big we are now, Jay. Or players reaching out to us saying that they want to play in the tournament. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Make sure you save the date for June 2nd, as well as the app. Go download the Bronco Nation News app as well. It's in your App Store, your Google Play, and follow us on YouTube. go subscribe right now. Bronco Nation News YouTube channel, youtube.com/Bronco Nation News. We would love to have you subscribe to the channel for all the latest broadcasts. And yes, final comment. Do I ever watch Sikkim 365? Yes. They are one of the sites that I modeled my site after when I decided to start Bronco Nation News. So very familiar with Sikkim 365. Talk to the publisher down there. And yes, so Josh, the answer to your question is yes. You can email me if you have different questions or things. But Jay, appreciate you. Try to stay warm. Maybe take the little one sledding maybe or something. Probably not enough snow. Not enough snow probably. There
might be enough to get a snowman up, and she's already asked. So we might get you that.
There you. I'm sure with how detailed you are that the Tust family snowman is probably the best looking snowman on the block, I'm sure.
When we pulled into the parking or into the garage last night, she did say, we don't have Christmas lights up. So I think she was a little bummed we had snow, no Christmas lights. I'm going to get up in the attic, put all the Christmas lights back up for, no, I'm just kidding. Definitely not doing that. Definitely not doing that.
Hey, appreciate you, Jay, as always. Have a great rest of your Tuesday. Everybody else have a great Tuesday as well. I will talk to you tomorrow from Fort Collins. We'll try to do a little afternoon show maybe, or I'll work on the time. We're going to get Matt Boucher on tomorrow, I believe. But otherwise, with my travel schedule, if we can't do it in the morning, we'll do an extended pregame show. It's an 8 o'clock game tomorrow, right, I believe. So set, which is always fun. The late games, and then with the had the 9 o'clock game in Laramie, and then had to drive back to the Denver airport. So somehow they're screwing us on these late games here. It hasn't been the easiest, but we'll have full coverage about 7 o'clock on the Lithia Ford Boise pregame show live from Moby Arena. Jay will have you covered with all the highlights and things on KTVB as well. Have a great. What do we got? State girls this week?
Yeah, tips off on Thursday.
Okay, state girls basketball championships, and Brady and Jay will have you covered KTVB throughout the weekend, and then but yeah, we will talk to Jay on Friday. So have a great rest of your day, everybody. We'll talk to you later. Bronco Nation News Live.